7:30. Welcome one and all, but before we go ahead, there's a couple of little housekeeping things we need to do. So, Karen, do you agree to be videoed for this meeting?
No, not at all. I mean, yes, I do. Yes, I do agree. Sorry.
Adele, do you agree to be videoed for this meeting?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. Well, that's being said, there's a little bit of housekeeping that has to be done. If there's a fire, the escape route's out the front door, the side door, or down the hall to the back through the garage. If you ladies need to use the bathroom, down the hall and to the right.
Thank you.
Now, well, nothing further. If you have any questions during this video, please leave them to the end when we will give you an opportunity to ask questions and I'll try and answer them to the best of my ability. The apologies. We have one apology from a resident called Rhonda. She can't be here. Another apology from the principal of the public school because he's another commitment tonight. So moving on. The bushfire management plan is to reduce the number of human-induced bushfire ignitions that cause damage to life, property and the environment. It is also has managed fuel to reduce the rate of spread and intensity of any fires that might happen, while minimising environmental and ecological impacts and to reduce the community's vulnerability to bushfires by improving preparedness and to contain fires with the potential to cause damage to life, property and environment. Now we'll achieve these objectives by having a fire trail constructed around the perimeter, 4.3 metres wide, to allow tanker access, and by conducting a low intensity burn within the area with an average flame height of 1 metre and a scorch height of an average of 4 metres. To satisfy the environmental concerns, we will leave a 50 metre riparian zone at the lake edge, and at any first and second order streams within the area, we'll leave a 10 metre riparian zone. The fire history of the area, the fire hasn't been burnt in that area for in excess of 20 years, and the risk we have identified is that the fuel loadings are in excess of 25 tonnes per hectare and are considered unacceptable. The current risk, the way it stands at the moment, is that there's almost certain a likelihood of fire occurring in the area with extreme extreme consequence if a fire did hit the area. Strength and weakness of our plan. The plan reflects International Standard 31,000/2018. It is a comprehensive plan and it covers an area of 20 hectares with a perimeter of approximately 2 kilometres, and as I said before, with a 50 metre riparian zone at the lake edge and a 10 metre riparian zone at any first and second order streams within the area. Another strength of our plan is that the RFS has the knowledge and the capacity to carry out the proposed burn, and if necessary we can call on other RFS brigades or resources if necessary. Now, this can be other brigade trucks and personnel as well as aircraft to provide water bombing. Weaknesses. Our plan doesn't account for changing demographics, meaning more homes in the area, which means more population, resulting in more risk. This will compromise our neighbourhood safer places capacity, which are places of last resort in terms of emergency. Now, risk analysis for the area is the way it is at the moment is that if there's a fire, it's almost certain with a consequence of extreme, giving an overall rating of 10. Now, how are we going to treat these risks? Firstly, we'll construct a fire trail. At the moment, the likelihood of a fire in the area without the fire trail is likely with a consequence of major. If we don't burn it, the likelihood is almost certain with extreme consequence. Smoke and embers, the likelihood is almost certain with a moderate consequence. And traffic and spectators, a likely likelihood with a major consequence. Now, critical success factors of what are our key result areas. We're going to reduce the risk as far as reasonably practical and to give new likelihood and consequence ratings. Now, to reduce the hazard opposite Guandalam Public School and adjacent residential area, our critical success factor is to reduce the fuel loading across the fire ground to less than 5 tonnes per hectare for more than 80% of the prescribed burn area. This will give a new risk rating of unlikely likelihood with a minor consequence, giving a rating of 3. The fire trail construction, as I said before, the fire trail circumventing the whole prescribed burn area is to be 4.3 metres wide to accommodate fire tanker access. A 50 metre riparian zone will be left at the lake edge, as well as a 10 metre riparian zone in any first and second order streams in the area. This will give a new risk rating of remote likelihood with a minor consequence and a rating of 2. Smoke hazard. Well, to reduce the risk of this, we'll be burning on a weekend when school is not occupied. Residents have been communicated with and consulted regarding smoke risk. Burning to be low intensity, with flame height of 1 metre average and a scorch height of 4 metre average to reduce the impact of smoke. This will give a new risk rating of a possible likelihood with a minor consequence, giving a rating of 5. Traffic will be controlled by police presence, and they will also control onlookers. This will give a new risk rating of possible likelihood with a moderate consequence rating of 6. Now, our action plan. We're going to do another letterbox drop to the residents and the school. We'll request fire control to organise the fire trial construction. We'll give 24-hour notice to the stakeholders, which is mainly the Fire Control Centre, the residents and the police and the school, a notice of the burn. We'll activate our support requests for local brigades. We then proceed with the burn and we engage police for traffic and spectator control. Throughout the burn, we'll be monitoring our risk controls and the effectiveness of our mitigation strategies. We'll review how the burn went and the new likelihood and consequence rating. Overall will be a possible likelihood with a minor rating of 5 for fire in the area. These results will be then entered into the risk register. Now, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, I have a question. Why has the area not been burnt for so many years?
Well, that's a very good question. The interface zone, which is the area between the residential buildings and the bush, was non-existent prior to subdivision development. Since the subdivision, we now have a setback distance of 50 metres, that is, 50 metres from the residence to the bush, which is inadequate in times of fire incidents for the area in question. Because once the bush goes up, the embers will rain down on the new houses. In terms of the school, new residents moving in the area have increased the school population, making it impractical for students to assemble in the cleared area at the rear of the school because of their numbers, which area was used by the smaller school population. The fuel loadings in the area to be burned have increased dramatically due to climate change over the last 5 years and now warrant urgent attention to prevent loss of life and property.
I have a question.
Well, firstly, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. What happens to any animals on the fire ground?
That is also a very good question. We have left a careful placement of fire trails in the area. Have left plenty of escape routes into unburned country, bushland, for any native animals. In addition, a 50-metre riparian zone has been left at the lake edge, which will provide shelter for any native animals, and the 10-metre riparian zone for any first and second order streams also provides adequate escape routes for any smaller animals.
I have another question.
Man,
How often will you monitor fuel levels in the area?
well, firstly, the fuel levels will be monitored prior to commencement of the burn, which we have done. Results are entered in our risk register and compared with previous results. Any substantial increase will be subject to further mitigation strategies and risk assessments. But while the burn is being conducted, we'll be monitoring how our risk assessments are going and our mitigation strategies are being performed. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, that is all I have for today. Thank you for attending.
Thank
I
you,
really
Fran.
appreciate your input, and I will now close the meeting at 20:30 hours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.